To be honest, I'll say like a controversial thing. I think tax is more automatable than bookkeeping, actually. So like it should get to a better place than bookkeeping in the long run.
I fully agree. Like I did a mastermind in France in May, and my leader was like 90% of taxes should be automated in the next 9 months. It's ridiculous like how fast it's going. I think the slowness of adoption is the scaredness of security and kind of stuff, and people maybe not understanding the tech side. And I'm there too. I'm trusting. I'm like, hey, if I'm spending this much money, surely it's safe and secure. And we've got our WISP and all of our things and what we take on as risk and what we don't. And so we have all that, but I think that is a slower adoption on in the accounting community. But like I tell everybody, I was doing online banking in the 90s before online banking was cool and everybody thought you were going to get your identity stolen. Like I've always early adopter. Like why wouldn't I want my bank synced to my accounting software so that it's easier for everyone? It's smarter, work smarter, not harder. And that's I think what AI is going to do for all of us in the tax space.
Nope, I completely agree. Misty, welcome. Super excited to have you. And yeah, this is Modern Tax Pros. Let's start with kind of more about you. So, Misty, we've done this before. We're going to record it this time but our practice session was fantastic. I can't wait to go back through some of it. But I appreciate you spending the time. Why don't you tell folks a little bit about your background and your practice?
Yeah, sure. So I have always wanted to be a CPA since I was 10 years old, like a normal dork. And
That
went to
you as a
school.
child were like, I'm going to be a CPA when I grow up. That's a real story. That's
My
amazing.
uncle was one. Now he was a banker,
I
so
was
he
going to say,
never
like,
did
how'd you
that.
come up with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I liked his banker's hours. I never worked them, but that's what I thought. Went to college, did small public accounting for a couple years while my husband did grad school. Came home, did oil and gas near Houston. Had my kids. I have 6 kids. So
Yeah.
after the first, I started staying home and just doing taxes and stuff on the side. Just always had like, sole prop little side business. And then in 2020 with COVID, everyone needed my help with, ERC claims and PPP loans. And it just like went crazy. And so again, we homeschool our 6 kids. So husband and I kind of switched roles. He's a part-time youth pastor and
Yep.
was a teacher. And so now I launched kind of my business has grown significantly since then.
That's amazing, by the way. 6 kids, good training for having clients, I would imagine, in many ways.
All
Um,
different attitudes and personalities.
yeah.
Yeah, I can deal with
Are
them
any of
all.
them going to be accountants? What do you
Yes,
think?
my oldest is at Baylor where I went
Oh
doing
my
accounting.
goodness.
She's
No
already
way.
starting grad classes this semester. So yeah, I trained her up right.
That's funny. I love it. I love it. That is it. That's a good thing. You're clearly not bringing home all of your stress if your children are choosing to, go into this profession.
I
But
am the most
um,
male female. I can compartmentalize pretty well. So
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Yes. Women
yeah.
are much better at multitasking, at least in my family. They are than I am.
Oh, good.
I love that. So yeah, and then okay, tell about the practice you built. Talk a little bit more about that in terms of, size and the type of clients you see and like the services you offer and those things.
So for the first 2 or 3 years, it was all me, and I found a gem of a part-time CPA in my town. Like, was a friend of a friend, and she's been helping me with books and cleanups and payroll part-time since 22. And then I just started growing. I was hiring college kids, and then I realized they don't really know what they're doing, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
in 23, at the end of 23, I hired a tax manager, and she helped me really grow and scale. So up until that point, I was doing tax returns, personal and business, but mostly just business for the people I was doing bookkeeping for.
Yep.
And since then, we've really added in strategy and tax planning and kind of the full gamut. Our goal at my firm is to be I've called it holistic accounting, to like really boutique serve like 40 to 45 clients, business owners, and kind of help them with all the parts of it. If you look at our marketing, we're geared towards content creators, but we only have a handful. Most of our clients are professional services or
Yep.
doctors or health counselors, those kinds of people. So,
It's funny. I was talking to someone at Engage last week, and I was saying, and I think this is true. It's funny you just brought this up. Made me think of it. we talk a lot about specializing practices, but what clients want, in my experience, is like just one place to go. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Which is like the kind of the exact opposite of specializing your practice. Like we think about what we want versus what clients want. My hot take is like actually firms are going to need to be generalists, not specialists, because that's what your clients want at the end of the day. They don't want a separate like payroll person to call if
Right.
possible. Now payroll is maybe kind of a funny example because you got Gusto
Yeah,
and some
yeah,
of those
yeah.
guys, but certainly for tax and like CAS and bookkeeping, you do not want different people. You know what I mean? So it's makes a ton of sense there.
Personally, I don't I've done taxes for 25 years. I dislike them. I'm like, if I could just do easy bookkeeping clients for my whole life and I have a bookkeeping manager in the Philippines. She's amazing, has so much experience. I'm like, she and I can rule the world, but they all
Yeah,
need their taxes done and they don't want
I
to go
know.
somewhere
I
else.
know. Well, if you send them
So
to a different place to do their taxes, they're going to try to get
yeah,
all their bookkeeping too,
yeah,
right? So it's
exactly.
like
You lose the
just
client. Yeah.
gotta pin that on. It's funny, all right, like some investment advisors, like we work sometimes with wealth firms, and they'll say like I just like we wouldn't even do the taxes except that like we just don't want to lose the client. And as long as like we just don't want to screw up their tax return, basically, because that's the one way to like lose a good client. And I kind of feel like that's true actually as well sometimes for CAS practices that do tax. They're just like, just don't screw it up. You know what I mean? As long as it just gets done, that would be great.
Well, I
Um,
mean, I'm thankful. I'm just gonna mention it right now to Juno
yeah,
because like I have gotten quite a few new clients this year that I'm running
yeah,
the advisor on their old stuff because I'm finding things and they've already left because they've come to me, but I am finding ridiculous errors that I am just like not to shame anyone, but I'm like,
right.
okay,
I
here we
know.
go.
I know.
Hopefully I'll
Um,
save you some money, but it might cost you some. So
Exactly, exactly. It's what's so funny? I was just doing that this morning on a couple calls, last night on a couple I was on a plane. I was throwing a couple clients in there and I was like, I don't know why people don't use it more, to be honest. It's incredibly helpful for just like, I don't know, one guy was selling some stocks and I just was threw it in there. I'm like, here's the email and look at this client's return last year and tell me how to respond to this email. And I find it just to be like, I mean, for me, hugely helpful on those types of things. But
I
it
would love to
is,
share. So my tax
yeah,
manager has always handled our estimated taxes. Like we have people who do strategy that we give them an estimate each quarter, not like the safe harbor, whatever. And I don't know how she's been doing it in the past, but she's off for 2 weeks moving across the country. And I had to do them all last week. And I threw them all into Juno and they were like spot on. I'm like, what? I
it's
mean,
so good
give
now.
yourself
It's
a
just
minute.
incredible.
It's got to
And by
run,
the way,
but
like it
then,
wasn't that good 4 months ago,
yeah, I know.
and so, but it's just come along. I always tell people, I'm
That's
like,
so
you,
bad.
the unfortunate thing with AI is like you're gonna have to go back and try it again, and it's gonna get
Yeah.
better, and then try it
Yeah.
again, and
Absolutely.
unfortunately, it's just mood changes so quickly. But I'm with you. I mean, someone the other day was like, I'm going to sell this property for this amount. And I didn't have to put anything else in there. And it literally went and figured out it was a rental property. It calculated like it did recapture of
Hmm.
depreciation. I mean, I literally
Yeah.
was like, this would have taken me hours. I showed my
Yeah.
whole team. I was like, guys, look at this. This would
Yeah.
take so many hours. I'm like, also be nice to your accountant because this is why a simple question sometimes like takes me 3 weeks to get back to you because I had like, there's 40 line items on this thing for one basic sentence in an email.
It's even like training my staff because like my bookkeeping manager is not tax focused, but she's in between. She does the journal entries at the end of the year. And we just had this client that sold or traded in 3 like capital lease vehicles and got 4 new ones. And she's like, I don't know how to do the entry for the, and I'm like, I can tell you how to do
Yep.
it, but you can also like just
It'd be
throw it in
faster
there
for
and
you to
it'll,
go. Yeah. I've
yeah,
started saying to my staff, like, have you asked Juno yet? Did you, before you come to me, if you wouldn't mind, just try to run it through there and see if it makes sense. I know I've yet to figure out how to really get them to do that all the time, but it is really helpful,
yeah.
in that way. And on the tax side, then do you kind of run the teams independently or how does that work in terms of the tax flow?
Mostly independently. Our bookkeeping team verifies end of year stuff, obviously all the reconciliations, giving the reports every month to our client. And so they pull those in for our tax team for our bookkeeping clients. We run some clot on like basic small schedule C's that don't have bookkeeping. Like they'll give us their
Yep.
banks, we know what it is. So we just throw it in there and it pulls together a spreadsheet. And then the tax team prepares all the returns. The manager or myself reviews all the returns, and then my bookkeeping manager does the year-end journal entries into our bookkeeping clients.
Are they,
So
they're manually preparing the journal entries? The tax person's doing their journal entries and sending them back. Is that? Or
We
how do
kind
you
of
guys do
have
that?
like a pretty set, like we have kind of very similar clients. So it's the same journal entries every year. It's depreciation and equity changes and mostly that kind of stuff. But yeah, if we have a question, we just throw it into Juno or Claude.
They're amazing at that, honestly, by the
Yeah.
way. I did a
Mhm.
revenue reconciliation the other day
Yeah.
for cash to accrual, and it was like incredible. And it went through like millions of HubSpot records. And
Yeah.
I was just literally blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. And I was using Claude for that. But either one is really good at it, honestly. It's
Yeah.
just incredible.
I
And people are
I
not,
love being
it's
able to
crazy they're not
feed
using
it.
it.
I love
Yeah.
being able to feed it like equity, like issues,
Right.
like, hey, this year and then this year, like I know what happened because I can follow the thing, but like, how do I make it right on the tax return? And
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Exactly.
90%, like you
Yeah.
can get me
Well,
there.
and
Well,
I always tell people like it's still like you can review it. You know what I mean? It's just but it's like
you
really
should.
going to get you 90% of the way down the road. And
Right.
someone asked me the other day in a session, they were like, how do you review it? I'm like, just like when you have a junior staff member, you look at it and you like see if the top line matches. And in this particular case, I was doing, accrual based revenue. And I was like, so I look at the accrual revenue and I look at the, amount, the collectibles basically, right? And I'm like, I just see if the numbers all make sense and
Right.
then off you go. But it was really funny. I think I find people sometimes that like, and I guess it's a good question for you, as you went along the way, as you started to use some of these new automation tools, like how'd you deal with bumps in the road then when things are wrong? Because sometimes accountants get there and like, they're like, this wasn't perfect. I quit. I'm never using it again.
Oh, I think that's just 6 kids. Nothing's ever perfect. So you kind of get used to
That's right.
it and you roll with it. I mean, I've had things where I've done some research and I thought it was right. And then I was talking to my tax manager or another CPA, and they're like, I don't think that part of that is right. And so I was like, "Ugh, fine, I'll go to the IRS's website and like dig and read." So there's times where you have to do that. But I also think like if it can get me 90% there, it saved me 90% of the time I would have spent on it.
Yeah.
And now I can just do the review part, and it's maybe a better reviewer too, because I know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking at, as opposed to like I have 2 interns. My daughter and her close friend are interning with me. They helped with VITA, in the spring, like low income tax returns, but they've never done Schedule C's and E's and all this stuff. And so I've done training and we've taught them, and they're doing that. But now they know too how to ask, and is great
Right.
at flagging like, hey, you should be checking this before they ever
Yeah.
hand it over to me. So
That's one thing we've tried to like balance is not giving too many what we call false positives, right? So like if there's a potential issue, like you flag it, even if it's not necessarily an issue. And our users have had a bit of a hard time being like, you said this was wrong. And I'm like, no, it didn't say it was wrong. I just said you should double check it. And we have actually very specific language we use on that. But it's
yeah,
funny you bring that up because we've been like trying to tune that a little bit to get to the right balance where you do want to highlight things to double check, but also then people freak out if you tell them to double check something and it's not wrong. And then they're just like, oh my gosh.
yes.
So
I
that
told
is
you that the
interesting to,
last time we talked. I had a
yeah,
tax preparer spending hours on the review side of
right.
Juno, and I'm like,
Yep.
this is never going to be fixed from Jake to Juno. Like, this is something you have to just do or mark it for us, and we'll fix it for you. Like you've got
Yeah.
to. So, but that's stuff.
We tuned it down just to like
Yeah,
turn some of that down. We had to suppress some of the like random things that it might bring up just because
yeah,
it was driving people crazy. But I think we've got a pretty good balance at the moment. But you made a comment that's really interesting too on like people ask about young people learning to do the profession, and I'm curious to see. I think AI will help actually teach people what they're doing. Like it actually will answer your questions, which was never possible before. And like, how's your experience been for your daughter as she's learning this?
yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think the funniest like meme or reel I've seen is like when you're like asking AI and it's telling you to check with the tax professional, and you're like, wait, I am the tax
Yeah,
professional.
that's right. That's right.
Like, so, and my daughter and I joke about that all the time because she like knows book wise how it's supposed to happen. And then she's like, but why is this? I'm like, well, this specific client has this specific, need or idiosyncrasy or whatever. And so that part is always going to be the learning curve, is learning your clients and that kind of thing. Obviously, you've got to know the tax law and do things right. But I think it's helped a ton. I mean, we're a zero only firm. We don't use QuickBooks, and
Yep.
I hate even sharing their name online. But I
We'll
love. I
we'll
mean,
we'll
they've
bleep
been
that out.
yeah, they've been super ahead of the game too, as far as AI. I don't. They're not as ahead as the green guys, like as far as apps, that sync and all that stuff. But like I have loved it for 99% of my clients. And they have a ton of like AI learning and that kind of stuff that just helps train. So my staff, when they come on now, they go through their like training modules, which are AI
Right.
created. I mean, you can tell. And they
Yep.
learn so much. Like there's like 3 levels of certificates now instead of just one. And I feel like that's a great thing. Even, I mean, just having AI for me personally, like I like we clock in and clock out just by client, just because having to fire people and you realize how slow people are and all this stuff. Like we have tasks associated to clients, and I can just tell AI, hey, new client, add all 15 tasks. Boom, it's done
Yep.
while I'm doing other things. And
Right.
like
Yep.
like I said, when I am reviewing and I'm like, something is wrong with this balance sheet or this equity or something like that, that's where I go is AI to like start the research. So I at least know where to go if I need to deep dive into something. So I totally think it's going to help the college kids learn faster, or the grads, learn faster because I said this out loud this week. I was training my daughter and her friend, my 2 interns, on business returns. They had only been doing personal up until Monday. We had an hour and a half training. I was walking them through start to finish, a small S corp, showing them what I check, where I look, blah, blah, blah. And I said, y'all have me teaching you. Number one, I never had that. Number
Yeah.
two, you have video record and a recording of the meeting, which is
Right.
AI,
Exactly.
with the notes. I'm like, I had a last year's tax return with copies of the papers with the 2-hole punch that I had to like look through and learn the client and figure out what the heck I was doing,
Right.
on top of the clunky software we used in 2001, or
Yep.
whatever year it
Yep.
was. So I'm like, they're so far ahead
Yeah.
of where we were.
No, that's right. I think so too. And the example I give people too is like you didn't have tax software at some point, right? And like people would do returns by hand. Thank goodness I came into this industry after that was the case. But the invention of tax software didn't mean that we don't need accountants anymore. I'm like, just because the software gets better doesn't, like, it's not like none of us have any work to do. We actually have more work to do probably than accountants back in the day.
Yeah.
So
Because I think some people use AI wrong and file horribly wrong returns,
right. Yep.
and so it gives us
Yep.
more
Those people
ability.
probably aren't even using AI, by the way. They're doing it old school. I mean, I've seen the same thing. I bought 3 firms and I picked up there were some who were fantastic accountants and there were some who I was like, wow, I can't believe you spent your whole career doing this. This is
Right.
not, you can't write off any of this stuff. And now I have to have a really hard conversation with this client because they
Mhm.
have got all the
Yeah.
wrong expectations, which is pretty funny. And okay, so what are you working on right now as a firm? Like what are you kind of pushing on to continue to evolve as you try to think about scaling or serving those customers better?
Yeah. Well, I think for us, it's process improvement with using AI. So we have like a PII masker that I've built out like on, Claude Code on the back end. We have these like certain things so that I can feed a masked 22, 23, 24 return and be like, ask it specific questions on, various, items. So I think building out the processes and the safeguards around that is important right now. We have a bunch of back taxes, like 23, 24 amendments that we just got to get done.
Yep.
And they're able
Is that from
to,
the mistakes that you see coming in? Is that what drives that for you? Yeah.
or clients come to us for, like, we do financial 360 offerings, like where we look at last 2 or 3 years plus their current year and help them get set with strategy and all this stuff. We have so many people that like missed deductions, basic deductions, or their accountant started depreciation and then they took over their return and didn't depreciate something for, like
Yep.
variety of things that just need amendment. And we live in Texas, so we had a hurricane in 24 and we like amendment, like the due date got pushed back and then they're getting lots of notices that their thing was filed late, and we're like, it had it had everything on top that it needed to have, and the IRS still issuing late penalties and stuff like that. So just
Right. Of
random.
course. Of course. Well, you
But
can
we're
just call
in
them and
that.
no one will ever answer, right?
I
That's the good
talked to
news.
someone
I've been seeing
yesterday.
that online where everyone's like, no one's answering the phone. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, jeez.
I talked to someone yesterday. They did not
Yeah.
know what they were doing, but they answered the phone at
They still
least.
answered. Hey, that's
I'm like, if
80% of
that
the
had
battle showing up.
utilize AI appropriately, we would all save some time. But yeah, no, we're focused on process improvement and getting crap out the door. Like I'm just like, why are we sitting on all this back work? Like just do it. Like finish it. This shouldn't take this long. So that's
That's
where I
right.
am this summer.
Yeah.
I feel like taxes is where we're doing that part now because bookkeeping we're so already there. Like my bookkeeping team, we use AI for our managerial reports that we send to our clients every month, script that we record, like it's been there for a year. And so now our tax team, I feel like, is finally catching up, and it's saving us a lot.
Which is amazing because, at least I think what I say to people, part of like why I started Juno in this space is I said, bookkeeping is like 90% automated, right? If you do it correctly, you connect the bank accounts, you have access to all their other accounts, so you're not emailing them constantly, asking them for things. Then QuickBooks has rules and like they can memorize. So we were at QuickBooks Shop, like, everyone's got to pick their platform. And I agree with you that I tried Xero really hard, like, I don't know, 5 years ago now. And it just like it couldn't do Amexes. That was the thing that killed me at that time. I just was like,
It's
oh
fine
no,
now.
I can't. I'm like, I got to go back. But,
Yeah.
the rules there are super helpful, right? Like it's already doing most of the especially if you're setting up rules, it's doing most of the transactions, and then your whole thing is month end close basically, right? Which is just a very small fraction of the work.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, on tax, we're still doing everything. You know what I mean? Like we have to go email them for documents. They forget to upload some of the documents. You got to email them again. Then I have to type in all the stuff by hand for most small firms, and I just was like, this is crazy. We're like 0% automated, and bookkeeping is so far ahead.
The worst thing is like we use TaxDome, so we have a portal and we have an organizer and we check your documents against last year. But I have a new client. He comes in, he gives us so much stuff. He's got a new schedulee. He's got this, that. We run his wage and income transcript. He forgot to give us 18 1099-Bs, 5 1099 divs, and 3 1099 interests. And I'm like,
Oh
but
my goodness.
it's just part of our, like, it's not
By the way,
necessarily.
Juno just started taking transcripts. You just made me think of this. So wage and income transcripts they came out today.
Nice.
Just FYI. So,
Good.
but
I know
that's a really good point. I mean,
I knew
it's
there was a
like,
webinar today or something, right? So I
yeah,
missed.
we had a Drake webinar too, because we updated the Drake
That's what it was.
export,
Yeah.
which got like, it is 90% faster, which is like a huge improvement there.
Registered for that, but I had to drop a kid off to go to camp today.
Yeah. No worries. Well, I'm sure we'll send you a video or something. It's pretty
Yeah.
quick. The funniest part is you can fast forward to the export part of it.
Yeah.
And that's the one real bummer, is that it will take up your computer when you're exporting, right? And so like that needs to be faster, but that's just the reality of when you have local files. It's like the only thing you can do to use a local application. And
Yeah.
so anyways, but we use macros now. So like, it's just infinitely faster. Which is great. And, but on that, yeah, I mean, the automation is going to come a long way on tax in a very short period of time. I think we'll catch bookkeeping. And to be honest, I'll say like a controversial thing. I think tax is more automatable than bookkeeping, actually. So like it should get to a better place than bookkeeping in the long run.
I fully agree. Like I did a mastermind in France in May, and my leader was like, 90% of taxes should be automated in the next 9 months. Like it's ridiculous, like how fast it's going. And I think the slowness of adoption is the scaredness of security and that kind of stuff, and people maybe not understanding the tech side, and I'm there too. I'm trusting.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, if I'm spending this much money, surely it's safe and
Right.
secure. And we've got our WISP and all of our things, and what we take on as risk and what we don't. And so we have all that, but I think that is a slower adoption in the accounting community. But like I tell everybody, I was doing online banking in the 90s before online banking was cool and everybody thought you were going to get your identity stolen. Like I've always been early adopter. Like why wouldn't I want my bank synced to my accounting software so that it's easier for everyone? Like I just that's all. It's smarter, work smarter, not harder, and that's I think what AI is going to do for all of us in the tax space.
Nope, I completely agree. And you made the comment earlier that I think is important there too, you said something about context with like clients. And what I always say to people too is like, it sounds like a marketing thing to say like, oh, we're going to make the job more human. But I actually think that's true in that, right now I can't even talk to my clients because I'm like trying to get through a return that day and, get into make sure it's correct and just triple check like whatever PDF that is being put into my tax software. When you take that away, you're going to actually have more time to what you described, which is like, I'm going to look at what you forgot to deduct. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be like, hey, wait, didn't you have this other thing happen last year? Like, why don't I see that on here? Oh, great.
Mhm.
Let's go amend that return and get you back
Yeah,
another couple $1,000 from the IRS, right? Whatever it might
right.
be. I truly believe like we'll have more time to collect context, which humans are way better at than AI machines. And we'll have more time to think about the strategic advice that goes along with the return, which will be fundamentally, at least in my opinion, a very positive thing for the profession because we can make an even bigger difference. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you had all the time in the world, like I always tell people, if I have an audit and I will go back and look much more carefully at that person's, records, basically, right? It's like, okay, I got to
Mhm.
really prepare. And I always could find something. Like every time I ever had an audit, I found something we forgot to deduct. Because especially if I'm not doing the books, like I just wasn't looking as carefully at those things and reviewing every little nitty gritty detail. If you had an extra 2 hours to sit and think about a tax return, you could probably find, some savings almost every time.
Yeah. I mean, I love your software that I can pick the client before I ask a
Yep.
question. Like I
Yeah.
just did a deep dive retirement planning for, newish client. He has a new C corp and we're, doing some retirement planning. I'm talking to his financial advisor and we're doing all this stuff. And I love that I could just click the retirement planning.
Yeah. Yep.
Like click it, and it did like a deep
That's
dive
right.
and I had to give it a little more context, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
great. Now this one was a W-2, now he's gonna be a C corp, so he still has W-2,
That's
but
right.
the thinking and it was great and gave me, again, 90% there. And then the
Yeah,
food
that's
stuff.
right. That's right. With a little coaching, get you all the way there a lot faster than doing it yourself.
Yeah,
And once you
like
do
I did
that,
it 2 minutes before my meeting instead of spending
yeah,
3 hours on it,
exactly.
like whatever.
Or like last night, I had these 2 emails and I'm like, these are going to take me forever. And I was able to do both of them. I was just kind of on a plane. I'm like, I'm just going to run this in the background and let Juno just kick through stuff. And then it's like, okay, great. This looks pretty good. On a couple of them, I was like, no, take this part out. But got me to the zero inbox again, which is back in the day, I never really got to, but I've always
Yeah.
aspired to
Yeah.
at the end of the
Right.
day. Um, I love that. I know we're at 30 minutes here, but yeah, how can people get a hold of you? If they want to talk to you more or like, how can they follow you and get more information about you?
That's a great question. I think we're a Newsome CPA, Newsome on Instagram, Misty Newsome CPA, Facebook, YouTube. Um, Newsome-CPA.com is our website. So it's got the dash in there, which is hilarious because my daughter's boyfriend of almost 4 years name is Dash. And so I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
I was trying
hilarious.
to say
Well, he's already part of
hyphen.
the business.
Well, I'm like hyphen, and nobody knows what a hyphen is anymore. I'm like, okay, no,
That's right.
Dash.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, and we're around, we're active in quite a few, accounting circles and stuff. We don't go to all the conferences and everything, but we love the accounting space. We have lots of friends. I'm a, believer in God is the God of a cattle on 1,000 hills. There's so much work for all of us. We are not competition, and we are here to help each other and build each other up.
That's right. I completely agree. I think there's endless work to be done. I
Yeah,
haven't met any accountants who are really bored and looking for work
yeah,
lately. They're all like, I've got too many hours and I can't find good people. And so I'm like, what people say, oh, what if AI takes all the jobs? And I'm like, you find me that day. I haven't found any relaxed accountants that are like bored and looking for more stuff to do.
no,
Um,
that's my goal.
yeah, exactly. I know, but I can't wait to meet them when we get to the other side of the fence. I hope to
Yeah,
create a few. Yeah, hopefully
right.
you call me in 6 months. You're like, I'm bored out of my mind. It's the middle of
Yeah,
tax season. I got nothing to do.
that'd be amazing.
Um, someday,
I
someday.
haven't
I
played
love.
with the business side of Juno yet. Like I know
Yes,
y'all launched it. And so I told
go do
my
that and give us feedback. I mean, it's only 2 weeks old, but
yeah,
it's no, it should be great, especially as your daughter's learning. That's a great way to learn too, because it flags unusual things and kind of walks you through what it's doing, and then it'll do the journal entries for you as
yeah,
well, which is really
awesome.
nice.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah,
We've
of
already
course.
done the return. Can we throw it into review and it'll just review
Yeah,
like with
yeah,
what
of
we have?
course. Yep, that's right. It
That's
will.
kind of what I've been using, Claude Code for parts of it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and so I'm like, I know I just need to do it's one of those things like receipt collection. I was so slow to adopt it because I was like, oh, I gotta sit down and learn it. And I'm like, well, that was so
Exactly. That's right.
so I just
But you run through one return and you're going to like
yeah,
completely have the gist of it at the end of the day.
yeah.
I always tell people just don't run through that one return in February when you're already super busy with things. Just do it now. Summer is a great time. Just like pick, oh, I have this one on extension or I'm amending a return too. You could do that as well.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time. I'm glad we finally made this work, by the way. And I'm so sorry about all the back and forth, but we got there. And yeah, if we can ever be useful, like please send us feedback and do all the things so we can continue to improve. And I appreciate you sharing your experience with everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. It was fun.